What would make this an especially useful conversation for you today?
I think I want to know, you talked about a lot of logic games, and I'm not sure where to start. Like I've seen some of your videos and stuff, but I'm not sure where the beginning would be.
Sure. So basically, if you wanted to establish a strong foundation in logic games, I would begin with ordering games, then move on to grouping games, then combination games, then the more difficult rare ones. But within each category, I would move from easy to hard. So start with the easiest ordering games and gradually move up to the more difficult ones, then do the same for each of the other game types.
Okay. How do I know which ones are the easy ones? Because they all look pretty hard to me.
Sure. I totally get what you mean. So on my website, I have categorized the games by type. And then within my day by day study plans, I lay them out by difficulty as well. So in the study plans I share with you, start with the easiest of the easy ordering games, then gradually move up from there. And the day by day plan is telling you exactly what to be doing every single day over the course of your prep. So I'll say, read these articles, then do these specific LSAT games.
Okay. So it's not the YouTube videos, it's a website.
Right. So on my website, the LSAT blog, I
Okay.
have a list of books available to you as resources. And one of them, the most popular, are the day by day study plans. And I have them for all different time periods, whether you're taking the LSAT in 1 month or 3 months or 5 months or beyond.
Okay. So if I'm taking it next year, I should look to see how many months,
Yeah.
then
So
go for that.
do you have a certain test date in mind?
Um, no, probably September, October of
Oh,
next year.
good. So you have a long timeline.
Yes.
Excellent.
Well,
Fantastic.
I want to be able to have enough time because I've looked at an LSAT and I want to be able to be prepared for it.
Of course. Yeah. So I would say start now and gradually build up as you get closer. So I'd suggest getting one of my longer term plans, like the 6 month plan or 7 month plan, and simply doing it at a somewhat slower pace because you have the time.
Okay. Okay. And then does it also, the logic games, does it only have logic games or does it also have like questions from the LSAT?
It covers everything. I mean, the schedules cover games, reasoning, and reading comp, and they also work on things like pacing and endurance as you get closer to test day. But to be clear, the schedules themselves do not include the actual LSAT practice problems. You can get those separately from LSAC. They're available in books of 10 exams on Amazon for about $20 each.
Okay.
And you can also use the
Um,
PDFs alternatively, or you can use, there's a couple of exams for free on LSAC's site, which would be a good starting point.
okay. So your plan is kind of similar to the LSAT, like the problems, but they're not the exact ones. Is that what you're
Well, the study plan is a schedule. So it's saying on day one, read these articles, then do these problems out of the actual official LSAT exams, which are available separately. But unfortunately, due to high LSAC licensing fees, it's not possible for me to include tons of exams in a $20 schedule.
Okay. Got it.
But wherever you
Okay.
get the exams is fine by me. If you use the PDFs, if you use the ones on LSAC's site, or you buy the books on Amazon, it's all the same to me, and it's all the same to you, really, as long as you get the questions in the end. But I'm basically telling you how to use the official LSAT problems in conjunction with foundational resources to actually teach you what it is you're going to be doing.
So I go onto your website and start going from the studying.
Exactly. And I'll after this call, I can send you a link to the study plan so you know exactly what to get so you can just jump right in and begin.
Okay. I'm also doing I applied for the UCLA fellowship. Would that be also an add-on to what I'm doing, do you think? Or I don't know if I'll get confused of the way it's taught.
I'm not familiar with the fellowship. Can you tell me more?
Okay. So it's an intense writing material, and they said we'd go over some of the questions as well on the LSAT, and it starts next January. And I guess you meet once a week, and they go over some of the questions. They also go over what's required and your personal statement, things like that.
Good. So it sounds like a useful resource, but that alone, I think, probably wouldn't be sufficient to teach you everything the LSAT involves. I would consider that more of a supplement to your own
Okay.
self-study, especially if you're doing that fellowship in January, but you're taking the
Yeah.
LSAT in the fall. Obviously, there's a lot more work for you to be doing on your end to achieve your fullest potential. So I'd say that's just maybe some extra LSAT practice, but your own self-study should be the primary focus.
Okay. So it's basically do your own study plan and try to do it as you go and then keep adding as you're learning.
Exactly. You have to. I mean, to achieve your fullest potential, you can't rely on any class, especially one that simply meets once
Yeah.
a week. It's kind of like it's beyond college. Like in college, let's say you're doing, I don't know, 10 hours of studying or reading for every 1 hour of class time. The LSAT is far more difficult than any college class.
Yeah.
So the ratio must be even greater. You got to do even more work on your end to make the most of the time you spend in class.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've looked at some of the questions and it's kind of hard, but I realized that there's a skill to it. So hopefully this will help me learn that skill that I need.
Absolutely. It's like learning a foreign language. And so
Okay.
any diagnostic you look at initially is going to be a little bit discouraging because it'll tell you what you already know, which is that you don't know the language of the LSAT yet.
Right.
But you can learn it, and everyone kind of has to go through the same process, especially with something as unfamiliar as logic games. But they are
Yes.
the most perfectible section. You just got to put in the time to learn the patterns.
Okay. So on the plan, do you start with the logic games or with the reasoning?
I start with the games because they're typically the most intimidating at first, but they are the most learnable section. I then move into reasoning, then finally reading comprehension. But the schedule is more important for the level of specificity it contains about what to do than the particular day by day breakdown. So if you wanted to, you could jump to a different portion if you want to focus on that particular question type. It's really up to you. The schedule is meant to be a framework, but of course, you're going to want to adapt it to your own particular situation.
Okay. That sounds really good. Okay. Thank
Sure.
you.
Of course. What other questions do you have for me?
Um, you talked about using scratch paper.
Yeah.
So I've heard that the last time they had the LSAT, that somebody took an LSAT and it was on the computer, there was a lot of issues. So should I rely on just bringing my own scratch, or I wasn't sure of what you meant, like getting used to using scratch?
Sure. So on the new digital LSAT, it's being administered on a tablet specifically. And they give you a booklet of scratch paper of about 12 to 14 pages to use separately. They're not going to let you use your own scratch paper because they're worried about security. Maybe you write something on it or something. So they'll give you a booklet from them. And it's not unlimited, but it's more than enough. And so I would recommend you do all your note taking or diagramming to the side in that booklet of scratch paper.
Okay. As opposed to just a long piece of paper, is that what it is?
Well, there's really no alternative. I mean, you're using their booklet of scratch paper. It's about 12 to 14 pages, 8.5 by 11 paper, so standard size of paper, unlined, and that's where you'll do all your writing. But you can't
Okay.
write on the tablet itself. It doesn't have that functionality. In the old paper and pencil LSAT, there was no scratch paper, and you could only do your writing in the limited margins around the questions. Now you have full pages of blank paper to do all your writing.
Okay. So just get used to using scratch, right?
Yeah. So get used to not being able to do any writing on the questions themselves and doing all writing to the side. So if you're using prep books with the exams, don't write on the exams, do your work to the side. And alternatively, if you're using PDFs or digital LSAT on LSAT's site, similarly, do all your work to the side on paper.
Sounds good. Okay. I think those are all my questions.
Great, Gemma. I'm really glad we connected today. What would you say is the biggest insight you got from our call?
So I'm a little confused about the process, and obviously I'm nervous about it because I know it's a lot of time and it's going to be a lot of money. So talking to you and being able to ask specific questions is, I think, the greatest help and resource for me.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.